We have started a devotional called The Greats, and we have gone through how the first one, the Great Obedience, is that we are to use everything we put our hands to, everything on this earth, as a chance to glorify God, to show His example of bringing fruitfulness and domain. The second one is the Great Commandment. The Great Commandment is that we are to love God first, and then we can love our neighbors as ourselves, because God showed us that example of love. And the final one is the Great Commission, that we are to go into all the world and make disciples of the nations. And Pastor David pointed out that all three of these are what they are. They're commandments. These are things that we don't have a choice on. All Christians at all times are called to use whatever we have, do it in a way that is loving to loving God and loving others, and to go and make disciples of the nations. And these are purposeful and intentional. But where does this lead? Where does this bring us? Where does this place end? And that's actually where our final one is, which is called the Great Vision. The Great Vision is that time that takes place when all of creation is brought to completion, when Jesus returns and He makes all things right. And this is called the Great Multitude as well. But the Great Vision is mentioned in Revelation 7:9, where it talks about how John, the writer, was looking at all things. And he said, before him, a great multitude of people, of all nations, of all types, of all languages, of all people, was gathering together before the throne room and in worship of the Lamb, who is Jesus. And this is where it all leads to. Us following God's plan, us following His commandments, and God bringing His plan and His timing to completion brings it to here. A celebration, a party, a place where diversity is celebrated. Notice what's happening here. It doesn't say a great multitude of people come before the Lamb. It says every tribe, every nation, every language, and every people. It's diversity. Diversity as something to be celebrated in a party. And as somebody who is extremely diverse, I find this very comforting. I'm Japanese, I'm white, I'm Canadian raised, I'm American born, and I'm married to a Ukrainian. I'm somebody who is very diverse. And for me, this was a wrestle a lot of my life of realizing how many different parts of life made up me. But God didn't see that as a reason to divide or to say that doesn't matter or to downplay that. He sees that as a reason to celebrate, because that's where it all leads, a great celebration. And as somebody who likes my diversity and wants it celebrated, it's a part of me, and I enjoy it. And it's brought me joy. It's also brought me pain. But at what Jesus does in the very end, it brings it into completion. Our country right now is hurting. Our country right now is hurting over racial tensions. It's hurting over long history of oppression. And it's hurting over a lot of different things. But at the root of it is division and sin. But God sees diversity, something that we sometimes see as a reason to divide and to harm each other and to hate each other and to separate from each other. He sees it as a reason to celebrate. And what does He celebrate? What does it lead to? And it leads to a common purpose. That all these tribes, all these nations, all these people, all these languages, all these races are coming together in common purpose. And it says in verse 10, salvation belongs to the Lord, and to the throne and to the Lamb. The common purpose is Jesus. Right now, our country has different solutions for what's going on. And these are very important solutions that we really need to take a look at, such as economic, as institutional, police oversight, different things of race. All of these things, economic and moral, are good things to look at. But what Jesus brings is something of a spiritual unity, something that goes beyond all of these channels, because at the root of what's going on is sin. And there's only one person who can deal with sin, and that's Jesus. So Jesus, on one hand, celebrates our diversity, celebrates all the races that we are, and says, I'm going to make a party out of it. And at the same time, that party is as celebrating around him, that he brings us all into uniting. So as we think about how to deal with these things, as we look at what these greats are and where these greats lead to, the great vision is that all people of all types are coming together with our diversity celebrating and the unity around the Lamb, who doesn't see these as reasons to divide, but sees us as a reason to celebrate because he deals with the real issue. God bless.